No, you're not bringing home another piece of junk.
Okay, we're back on the Impala project today. Let's take a look at what we did and where we're going next. All right, so we're going to look at this lower section of this back. We'll call it a quarter panel now. It was a door. It's not a door anymore. It's a back section of quarter panel. But anyway, as you can see, there was a bunch of filler in here. When I ground it out, that thing had been hit, and I thought I'd try to hammer and dolly that out, but I really can't get to the back of it. So what I'm going to do, what I wanted to do was I went up and got this door off the parts car, and I was just going to cut this section out and use it because it's already got that nice curve to it. And I was looking here, and it's kind of ate up down here, and I thought, well, metal should be okay up in here. But as you can see, once I started grinding, this thing is pretty much junk, full of pinholes. So that's not going to work. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and cut that section off like I had planned and kind of get it fitted up and use this as a pattern. And then I'm going to cut a piece of new 18 gauge and try to bend that little, it doesn't have much of a bend, just a little bit, and then make a new panel and we'll weld it on there. So some of the other stuff I worked on last week that I didn't show is I went ahead and ground all this down some more. And what I did is I took my flapper wheel, ground that down, and then I took a 9-degree little angle grinder with a 40 grit on it and kind of dressed that up a little bit. And then I went over that with my with a DA with 80 grit on it, and it blended in real nice. I mean, you can feel just a little bit there. You know, I may grind a little bit more on that to smooth it out more, but I think just a little tiny bit of filler is going to make that look good. So got this section to finish up. You know, we've just about got all this stuff welded up. I've been welding that up slow so we don't warp anything. Something else I did the other day is I talked about how big this gap was here. So I took some 3/16 rod and welded it there and ground it down, and as you can see, that closed that gap up nice. And I think once we get some primer and paint on there, that's going to bring that in just a little bit more, and that's going to look good. So we're getting there slowly but surely, and we'll get that side done, and then we'll get to see about getting some operating windows on this side. So anyway, let's get to work on this panel. So here's how we're going to approach this. I went ahead and cut this section out of this old door, even though it's really not usable. If you look on the back, it's pretty thin and down to nothing in the middle. It's kind of odd. It's almost like water was getting trapped in there. Who knows? Old cars just rust. So anyway, I came over here and I traced this out on the panel, and I actually traced, here's the line and here's the line, and I cut inside the line a little bit, left about 1 inch all the way around, and then I cut that section out. And this one's pretty solid actually, but it is just beat up. Somebody's really beat on this thing with a hammer, so we're gonna replace it. So what I did is I went over to my 18 gauge over there, and I traced out this one, and I'm gonna cut that out, and we're gonna put it on here. And I may just tack it in place in a couple places to hold it, and then trim through both panels so I get a good line that'll meet all the way around to weld that, so I don't have a bunch of gaps and stuff. And then while I'm spot welding that around, then I can go around and spot weld some more on these things, which most of these are just about done. And okay, so let's cut out this piece of metal. Okay, so here's what I did so far. I cut this patch out from that 18 over there. I thought I had that tacked on. I'm gonna put another tack on before we do this. But what I'm gonna do is I've got this overlapped about 1/2 inch. So I'm going to take my cutoff wheel and I'm going to cut through both pieces of metal along here and down along here. And then I should be able to push those together and get a nice butt welded edge that'll line up good. So first, I need to re-weld that and make sure it's going to stay. Hold on a second. Where's my gloves? Over there. All right. And I need a pencil. So, I got my pencil. Give me something to write on, man. Yo. So first I'm going to whack this edge. Then I'm going to tack that. Then we're going to cut this edge. All right, that looks good. All right, let's cut this and see what we got. Okay, that looks really good. That is going to line up just about perfect. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to work my way all the way around doing that. But for right now, I'm just going to do one in the middle here. And maybe a couple over here. I can actually work all the way around to here. Hope you all like the new intro to the channel. That's my beautiful wife talking at the beginning. saying what she has said many times before. I hope you're not dragging home another piece of junk. And then the music that is in the background is a good friend of mine, local guitar hero, Joe Bonert. Got some great original tunes. That's one of his original tunes called, which one is it? That's called Heavy Metal People. So Joe's kind of semi-retired, living in Iowa, but if you're from this part of Missouri and you play guitar and you're in your, I don't know, 50s down to 40s, 60s down to 40s, you either know who Joe is or he probably gave you lessons at one point. I know he taught me quite a bit as far as playing guitar. Okay, I'm gonna do this on one. So we've got a little bit of a gap there. Don't let go while it's still red. It moved a little before it cooled off. I'll do that one over. I kind of wish I had taken this all the way down to the bottom and I wouldn't have had to fill that gap. But I've already cut it. What's done is done, so we're going to leave it like that. Okay, now we're going to do the same up here. We're going to cut this edge, get this to line up. Once we get down to there, then we're going to cut this bottom edge and do the same there. And then it should be good. And then all we should have to do is fill it in. So I'm going to pause that here while I'm doing that and turn my garage fan back on. You won't be able to hear the video with noise. So we'll check back in as soon as we get this welded back in. Okay, so over the last couple hours, here's what we did. I got the rest of this cut, and like I said, cut through both layers of metal all the way around. Spot welded this guy all the way around, and it came out really nice. I'm pretty happy with that. I also went ahead and made some more filler strips out of this stuff, and I went ahead and filled this gap down here all the way around. I filled in the last little piece that was left up there, and I had to make a little piece for right there where that door, this body line here would drop down where that door clamped in when it was shut. So I went ahead and made a little piece and filled that in up there. If you remember looking at the problem I had with this body line, what I ended up doing is I cut a section from the body line about an inch down like that off of those junk doors, and I just trimmed it up and welded it in right on top of this body line, and it actually lined that up really good. So if you look down from here to here, it's really close. So just grinding this all down, maybe just a touch of filler, and that's going to look really good. So there's a couple of things I want to go through and show you how I did. One of them is welding this rod on to fill this gap here. And another thing is filling these larger holes. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I do that. And I got some 3/16 rod here. And what I did is I bent the end up at the top to kind of match this first curve. Because once you get it in there and you start welding and it gets hot, then you can start bending it. It's real easy to bend once it's hot. And you just kind of follow this body line down, tack it as you go. So, pour up. Over here. It's about time to clean it here. I don't know about you guys, but I got a tendency to get a big pile of junk at my feet when I'm working. My helmet. Okay. I'm gonna get that first little piece lined up. Tack that dude on there. It's good. Go down just a little bit. Rod gets warm, we'll start kind of bending it and form it where you need it. There, get the next one. Now I'm going to bend it back a little bit. Trying just to kind of, the rod's 3/16 of an inch thick. The edge of the door is probably just a hair less than that, so I'm just leaving a little bit of the crown of that rod stick up so when I grind it off, it's flat. Good. Just kind of work it as you go. This is kind of a tough curve here. So I think here I'm going to cut that off and start another piece. Now I'm going to go down to here and can't remember if I'm going to do this piece or not. So I think I'm going to stop right here for now. I got a little bit of work to do on this edge down here where when I cut that off on the back, I cut it off a little bit wrong, so we're going to have to fix that. Okay, so I'm going to use my sheet metal pliers here and just kind of look at how that curve goes, and I want to get that started. tighten this thing. That's good. That looks pretty good. That off there. You're good and tight. Okay, that's all there is to it. Now, if you take a look at this gap, all right, much better. See, we're good here. A little wide there. I might put a little weld there, dress that up, and then to bring that out. This is really good. This is good. Right there, I gotta fix a little bit, and this corner here is kind of back in there. So I'm going to have to cut the backing loose from that, bend that out a little bit, and but we'll get that straight. But we're narrowing down on it. It's looking good. Okay, so these holes. Most of these holes this size and the little ones, I think I can fill with the MIG without any problem. When they get that big where you can almost stick your pinky in, that's a little bit too big to try to do that with. So what I did was I took this here piece of metal, held it back behind the hole, and traced me out some holes and cut some little sheet metal plugs. And then what I do is take a magnet, put the plug on there, about halfway sticking out. Stick it in the hole. Don't fall down in there. And I just want to get a little tack on it. And then I can pull the magnet off and finish that up. You gotta be delicate because sometimes your wire knocks the plug off the magnet down the bottom of the door, and then you gotta start over. Hopefully that's not gonna happen. Oop. Push it back a little bit. Let's see if I can push it forward. Okay, that's all there is to that. So really, all we've got left on this side is filling these holes and a whole bunch of grinding and a little bit of work down here. So I'm not going to do a video of a bunch of grinding. I'm sure nobody wants to see that. You know, I've got a few spot welds to go through here left and do. Like this seam is just about done. This seam is just about done. A few spots there, but I don't want to go ahead and start grinding these and just see where I might have missed, and I might have to go back and touch up again. But it's coming along real good. So, look, thank you for tuning in, and make sure you hit like and hit subscribe. Share this video with somebody. The rest of this week, we got a lot going on. I got my daughter's birthday, a couple other things going on. So probably won't drop another video on the car until early next week. So this will be it for this one for this week. Anyway, thanks for tuning in to Save and Junk.